I'd like to tell you about a couple of cases, you might say failures with regular medicine. The one was a 40-year-old lady who was hospitalized 6 times in the year before I met her. And the time that I met her, she was suffering from excruciating intestinal colicky pains, vomiting, diarrhea, alternating with constipation. And the pains were so excruciating that we had to admit her again to hospital, but on this occasion I had her checked by a surgeon to make sure that she did not have an abdominal emergency. He found nothing organically wrong with her, and we were able to discharge her, and from that time onwards we were able to handle her completely with holistic medicine. She didn't need any operation. All she needed was careful attention to her bowels, and with this we were able to withdraw her from her addiction to Darbon and to relieve her complaints completely. The second condition describes that of a 54-year-old man who had started going to a psychologist, and shortly thereafter found himself waking in the middle of the night again with excruciating pains, colic, vomiting, nausea, and diarrhea. He barely could make it to the restroom on some of these occasions. A friend of his had just had the same complaints and been admitted to hospital, having a cancer of the colon removed, and naturally he was afraid that he might have the same thing. He finished up going to a gastroenterologist, a specialist, who put him through a whole morning's work of barium enemas and gastrointestinal barium swallows, X-ray examinations. And a week later, he went very apprehensively back to the specialist and asked him what the condition was. The specialist had found blood on examining the patient's back passage, and this had really scared the patient into thinking he had cancer. The doctor said, "No, you have nothing organically wrong with you." So he said to the specialist, "Well, what is this condition?" And the specialist said, "This is known as irritable bowel syndrome." This used to be called spastic colon. So the patient in this case asked the specialist, "Well, what is the treatment for this condition?" And paradoxically, the specialist said, "Go to a psychologist." As I just mentioned, the patient had already started going to a psychologist, and this whole condition had exacerbated once he started to see the psychologist on a regular basis. This is no reflection on psychologists. It is merely a reflection on the patient's condition. He therefore stopped going to see the psychologist and devoted himself to improving his condition with holistic medicine, and was entirely successful in this case.